What's going on, everybody? How's it hanging? How's it happening? You guys know who it is. This is Kevin from the Chord Progression Podcast, brought to you by My Song a Day Rock 2008. We are at the final day of March. The first quarter of 2020 has come to a close. And, well, it's been one hell of a first quarter for 2020. We'll just put it that way. We're going to kick this coronavirus's ass. I always want to start with that because, we're going to stay positive with this. We're going to beat this thing. So let's get on with the show. But before we do, I got to go through my shameless plugs. So if I had any advertising up to this point, this is where I put it, but I don't right now. So you're going to hear about the My Song a Day stuff. So just please follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You're going to find out all the social media stuff you need there. So Facebook, anytime anything gets released, the podcast episodes, our YouTube videos, our 30-second song of the day features when you can hear the whole thing later on our Amazon Alexa skill. You can find that on Facebook. Twitter, you can find the same thing. It's a lot easier to talk to us on Twitter as well because that's the platform it's built for. Instagram is our biggest platform where we do all that stuff. We ask you guys questions. We have our behind-the-scenes IGTV videos, which is like a vlog of just behind the scenes stuff we're doing so you guys can hear about what we're doing. And we also have our Instagram live streams every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Central Time. So that's, if you're like living in Chicago that time. Because, well, you guys can come talk with us for an hour and we're going to have a blast. We just talk about whatever the heck we feel like. So please come and stop by. Links for all this stuff in the description below that I'm speaking about. Subscribe to our YouTube channel because when it comes to our YouTube channel, you can find out about like the album reviews that we do. We put them all out there. Other fun videos that we do. And the podcast episodes are on YouTube as well. It's the My Song a Day Rock 2008 YouTube channel. So go subscribe to that. As for the Chord Progression Podcast right here, you can find it on YouTube or you can listen on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Play. And also enable our Amazon Alexa skill because when you enable that skill, you can listen to the whole entire Song of the Day feature. So that song for that day, you can listen to the whole thing. Now what we have for that is, that's how you can get into the know with the bands that you love. So when it comes to trying to grow your rock music, metal music, and other subgenres that your appreciation for it and try and grow your knowledge of it and like all the music that's there, that's where you can find it because, you're going to fall in love with bands that you have never heard from before. You're going to fall in love with bands again that you used to love. You're going to find new music. And on every single Saturday, we do small band Saturday. So that's when a smaller band, an emerging band gets to, you get to listen to their whole entire music because they're going to be the biggest bands come the end of the 2020s and you're going to want to know about them. So that's the perfect place to do it. Links for everything in the description below, but now let's go into our featured presentation. And you guys remember on the March 20th episode when we interviewed Stain the Canvas, the Italian metalcore band that I love? Well, there's another Italian band that they have played with called Elyne, or Elyne. It's Elyne, I call them Elyne, but I mean, my God, their album Art of Being Human is absolutely fantastic. So make sure you go check it out when you get the chance. Links for all this stuff will be in the description as well for all of Elyne stuff. But Stain the Canvas's manager said, hey, would you also like to do one with Elyne? And I literally said, yeah, because I was so excited to listen to their album. Absolutely fantastic. And I got to talk with their guitarist, Bruno. Their lead singer, Danny, was supposed to come on as well. Unfortunately, due to a prior obligation, he was not able to make it. But, trust me on this. With me and Bruno, this is a podcast that is 2 hours that will not feel like 2 hours. You get to find out so much about Elyne. You get to find out so much about everything else. Man, you really are going to want to listen to this band. I will say this during now, and I said this on the podcast, with the interview with Bruno. Their Art of Being Human album is on my list right now for best album of the year, along with Stain the Canvas album. So you guys can tell, yeah, these guys are good. So sit back, relax, get your popcorn ready. I'm going to be listening to this one with my buddy Spencer Wise. Oh, yeah, look at that. Da, 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 da. I had to bring him out because I thought it'd be fun. Alrighty, so let's get into it. This is my interview with Bruno, the guitarist from Elyne, a metal band out of Italy. And trust me, you're going to want to hear them. So after this, interview, go stream their Art of Being Human album. So you ready? Let's go. Yeah. Well, ladies and gentlemen, fans of the Chord Progression Podcast, I have yet another fantastic band out of Italy for you. And these guys, I listened to their new album, Art of Being Human, and I mean, it was a no-brainer to have him on. So please welcome Elyne to the podcast. And right now we have their guitarist, Bruno. So Bruno, say hi to everybody.
Hi, everyone. I'm Bruno.
How's it going over in Italy right now, Bruno?
Yeah, we're all at home, you know. There's not a lot you can do.
Don't worry, I'm dealing with the exact same thing over here in America as well, because I think as we are shooting this podcast with the whole entire coronavirus thing, our total number of cases just topped China's. So we're at number 1 right now with number of confirmed cases. So,
man, I'm so sorry about it.
It's all right. Hey, we're all going to get through this together, and then we're going to beat this virus, and then we're going to get back to all these bands back out on the road, playing music, doing what they love.
Can't wait, man. Really, I can't wait.
And all us fans.
We canceled some shows, and that's so sad about it. Yeah.
How many did you have to cancel?
Like 4 shows.
That's not
Germany, Czech Republic, and Austria.
Ooh.
Yeah.
The Austria show, would that have been in Vienna?
Yeah.
Are you guys planning on rescheduling any of those shows that you got had to cancel?
Of course. We're gonna reschedule everything because we want so bad to be there. We just got our new album out and we want to hit the road so bad. So.
Well, I'm going to preface it with this. I am planning on coming over to Europe at some point in September. So hopefully when you guys reschedule those shows, the Vienna one is during the time when I'm around that area so I can come and check it out because...
Hell yeah. That would be fucking cool.
I will really want to see you guys play live. Oh, fuck yeah, you can say that.
Oh, that's perfect. I feel better.
Hey, I kind of just roll with it, so... It's perfect. And then at some point during the podcast, we're not sure when, we're not sure if it's going to happen, but the lead singer for Elyne, Danny, might not be stopping by. We hope he does because there's some things we're going to have to talk to him about as well. But
he might show up like a wild Pokemon.
hey, if that's the case, got to catch them all, man.
Yeah.
Alrighty, so Bruno, let's start out with you because of course you're the one that's here. So when it comes to you being the guitarist, I want to go all the way back to the beginning when you first picked up a guitar and when you first started playing music. What was that moment like when you first picked up that guitar, and what was the thing that really got you into wanting to be a musician?
Okay. So I was like 9 years old. And my parents bought me a classic guitar from nowhere, I came home from school and they were like, oh, we got you a guitar. Okay. And then my father taught me, the basic chords to play. And I really enjoyed it. I tried to play Painted Black by Rolling Stones by ear. And that was like really fun when I was 10. And then I met the cousin of my great friend that played guitar. He was older than me, and he was playing like Guns N' Roses, something like that, some rock like that. And I fell in love with it. And then I bought an electric guitar. And then I followed a lot of YouTube online lessons, like with Iron Maiden, all the songs like that. And then I realized that I loved to hit the stage when I was like 12, when I watched the Avenged Sevenfold live at LBC on YouTube. And then I was stunned, really. I was like, I want to do that in my life. And that's when I started to looking for friends to play with. And then I met Dario, the drummer, when we were like 13. Our favorite band was Avenged Sevenfold, so we fell in love with each other. And then we started playing together. We had a lot of bands. And finally we met again with Elyne.
All right, we'll go back into some of that. So when you were learning to play, you were looking a lot online and learning to play but through YouTube, just by watching people play and talk through these songs.
No.
I'm going to say that's absolutely amazing, especially with what's going on right now in the world, because I know the guitar company Fender, they put out this they have this online program where they teach people how to play. And
Fender Play, I guess.
Yeah, Fender Play, and they were giving it off to like 100,000 people for free for 3 months, so people could finally learn to play guitar during this whole entire coronavirus thing. However, the demand for it was so high that I believe it was the day before we shot this podcast, they decided we can't just do 100,000 because of how high demand is. They upped it to 500,000 people.
Oh, okay.
So, in a way, you're kind of the predecessor to all that when it comes to learning to play on YouTube. And when you're talking about the bands that you learn to play from, with watching videos about Iron Maiden, with your friend playing Guns N' Roses, and I'm assuming he was playing. I'm assuming they were playing songs such as Welcome to the Jungle or Sweet Child of Mine. Of course, the classic.
Paradise City.
Oh, yeah. But then you brought up Avenged Sevenfold as a band that really inspired you and a band that you really looked up to during those early years when you were making music. So what was it about Avenged Sevenfold that really caught your attention?
Of course, the guitar was amazing in Avenged Sevenfold. It's still amazing. You know, Sinister Gates is a hell of a guitarist. And, they were kind of particular because of this harmonization with the guitars. Guitars had a lot of impact in their songs, so I fell in love with that. And also the drum parts, I love drums too. And City of Evil, the earlier album were awesome.
Yeah, see, with Avenged Sevenfold, I didn't get into them until that City of Evil album came out, and that was because it was featured on one of the Guitar Hero video games. I believe it was Guitar Hero 2 with Beast and the Harlot.
Oh, of course, yeah. Played it a lot.
Oh, yeah. When I heard it, it was something different than I'd ever heard of, because it had that heavy metal feel, but it had such a rapid pace behind it.
Yeah, and it was kind of creepy also.
And that creepiness really came from two parts. It came from Sinister Gates' guitar work, just with the pitch that it had on it, especially in Beast and the Harlot. It really had that creepy tone to it. But then also the voice of M. Shadows as well really put it out there.
Yeah. He's really... he has really a unique voice,
Oh, very much so. I'm gonna say it's not as unique as like the most unique voices ever. So he's up there though. But it's like when I think about like the most unique voices in rock or metal music, the three that always come to mind are, of course, Freddie Mercury from Queen, because no one's ever gonna match that. Yeah. David Draymond from Disturbed, because it's got so much that like operatic, and I know he was training to be a rabbi at some point, so that's why he can hit some of those notes. And then Chester Bennington from Linkin Park.
Okay, that's a cool top three. Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, those are the three that always stand out. But M. Shadows has a voice that's like, I always think of it as just below that, where when you hear his voice, you know instinctively and right away that it's his voice.
Yeah.
So
I agree with that.
You said you saw a live show. Now, was this a live show they recorded on YouTube, or were you actually able to go to a live show at that age?
No. I watched it on YouTube. YouTube was my mentor when I was 12.
YouTube is the great teacher of the 21st century.
Yeah. You can find everything, even surgery. You want to perform a surgery in your bedroom, you can do it.
Oh yeah, that's how I learned how to. Let's see, what I learned to do. I learned how to rotate my tires on my car, change out headlights. A lot of things with my car I've learned off of YouTube.
Yeah.
So, when you saw this live show on YouTube from Avenged Sevenfold, was that the moment that you decided, when you're seeing them up on stage performing, was that the moment that made you decide, I want to perform live, I want to be in a band, and this is what I want to do with my life?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So after you saw that and after you went through that, what happened next? So after you decided, this is what I want to do with my life, what happened?
Okay, as I said before, I met Dario, the drummer, in a very funny way, because he was willing to add a friend on MSN, and then he typed the email wrong, and he had added me. So it was like, he came from nowhere. He said, "Hi," and I was like, "Who are you?" "Hey, I'm Dario. Are you..." "No, I'm not, but I'm Bruno. Nice to meet you." Oh, I play the guitar, I play the drum. He lives like next door, like 5 minutes from me, and we started play together. We had a band for 1 year, and then I was 13, he was 14 years old, so we broke up after the bass player left, and then he had another band. I got another band with Ale, the bass player. We played punk rock, and then we broke up because we were 16, so shit happens. And then we met each other again in Elyne, like in 2015.
Okay, I got to go back to when you're playing with your bassist in a punk rock band.
Okay.
Mostly because, well, I'll go back to a couple other points as well, but I want to start with that one. Mostly because when it comes to my musical taste, my favorite genre of all of them is punk rock. I mean, I'm wearing a Rise Against t-shirt right now. So.
Oh, yeah, I see it.
So what was your inspiration to go with a punk rock band with that second band that you had?
They asked me to play with them, and then I said, okay, I want to play. I love punk rock. I wasn't into it a lot. I love Green Day, Blink 182, stuff like that. But I wasn't into punk rock a lot. And then I took the challenge, and I said, okay, I'm in.
Well, I definitely think that in the end, that was a challenge worth taking, especially, which we'll get into with Art of Being Human. But listening to the album with the guitar work, especially when you went with more of that metalcore kind of style at times, just because of metalcore being that mixture of heavy metal and hardcore punk, it seemed like that punk background really helped you out on those songs because it really made those songs with the guitar work just pop, especially in my mind.
Oh, thank you, man. Thank you. Yeah, we all have a punk background. We all we all were 16 years old, punk rock skater.
So. I mean, with the look that I've got going on right now, I mean, like the black t-shirt, the long sleeve gray t-shirt, the backwards baseball cap. I mean, I look perfect. Like I belong on a skateboard right now, though I was never able to ride in my entire life.
Yeah, I broke a bone. This one, I don't know how it is called.
I think that's your collarbone.
Okay, yeah, I trust you. And then I stopped. And I had a show that night, and I played with my bone broke, but
okay,
that was okay.
How did that go? Because I've dealt with different injuries before doing different things, and I know I know it can get crazy, I know it can hurt, but I have to hear the story. So what was it like playing with a broken collarbone?
Adrenaline sometimes make you forget about a broken bone. And I sometimes forgot about it. And it hurt like a bitch.
But it's when you get that adrenaline going, it really is something that's able to get you to, what's the right word to put for that? It's really something that's able to get you going, mostly because I've seen other bands do that before, and probably the two biggest ones that ever had injuries on stage, probably one with Metallica when James Hetfield got set on fire. And
I remember. Yeah, I saw it.
And then was that like 5 or 6 years ago when Dave Grohl fell off the stage, broke his ankle, and then ended up finishing the show while sitting on a chair. And then they performed the rest of the tour with him just sitting in a chair, but still playing. Yeah.
That's badass.
And I've talked to a couple other bands as well where they've had injuries where it's like they've gotten concussions on stage, or like they've jumped on something and they slipped right away and busted their ankle. So I always love hearing those crazy stories where something happened to me while I was on stage or right before I was about to go on stage, and it hurt, but I played anyway, and this is what happened. I always love hearing those stories.
Yeah, you're willing to, sacrifice yourself, but it's fun, that's what you want to do, so you do it with no problem at all.
Well, when you're doing it for something that you love, that's really where your passion for what you love really shows, because nothing's going to stand in the way of you doing what you want to do. Yeah,
I agree.
And I also want to jump back into when you met your drummer Dario, because every single time I hear of band members coming together, it never seems like it's that normal story of either someone answers an ad or something where, oh, we were looking for this and we found it here. Like at another live show, and we took this band member from a smaller band that really wasn't doing much, and it ended up working out very well. When you said that you and Dario just kind of met out of nowhere, and it just kind of happened just by accident, even.
Yeah, it was an accident.
I mean, those are some of the best stories all around.
Yeah, because we never also forgot of each other along the way. You know, there was a point where we had two different bands, but we were friends.
And that's the main thing in all of this, is the fact that you guys had a band at one point, then the band split. Dario went to go do something different. You went to go do something different, end up meeting your current bassist as well in that project. And then when it came time to, with both of those fizzling out and then starting Elyne, that with you and Dario still being friends, you're able to come together and work again. And it seems like, especially after listening to your music with Elyne, coming back and working together again was easily the best move.
Yeah. You know, I can imagine, you know, even perform on stage or write music without Dario, just because it's like we play together since we were 14, and it would be strange to have someone else behind me that's not Dario.
And when it comes to writing music with Dario as well, just because of how long you have had a relationship with him in writing music and performing together, when it comes to writing music, there's probably I would have to say there's a connection between you and Dario, that both you understand what you want to achieve within writing a specific song, what sound you're going for, and how to amplify, and how his drumming can help amplify and further express what your guitar work is doing. And on the flip side, how his drumming can be further amplified and maybe given a little bit more power through what your guitar is doing.
Yeah, we also have almost the same taste, music tastes, so it comes really easy to do what we want to do, you know. Even the other guys, we are all friends, and we live like 10 minutes from each other, so we know each other from a long time, and then that's a good connection with each other.
That is a good connection as well, because no matter what, especially you've been friends for so long, you've gone through so much, to where you're always going to have that camaraderie with each other no matter what.
Yeah. We're friends first, and then band members.
So, because I know you said you and Dario have a very similar taste in music, and I know you spoke with Avenged Sevenfold being the band that really got you into it. What other artists or bands have really been the biggest influence on you as a guitarist and just as a performer and as a writer of music?
Okay, that's a tough question. Before Avenged Sevenfold, I said I was into rock a lot, and rock music gave me my idol was Slash from Guns N' Roses. So, and it really helped to grow me up, you know. And after Avenged Sevenfold, I think August Bernstrad.
Ooh, good call.
Yeah, they kind of introduced me to metalcore with Composure. That was my first song of them, and I fell in love also with the guitar parts and the drumming, and I looked for them a lot.
I'm absolutely pleased to hear that, especially with the fact that August Burns Red is coming out with their new album on April 3rd. So it's coming up very soon. Looking forward to that as well. And when it comes to August Burns Red, especially kind of seeing especially after listening to Art of Being Human, with where your guitar work, especially when you're dealing with more of that metalcore sense within the guitar work on those songs, you can really hear the crispness of it when it comes to that metalcore style. And especially when you're saying that you really like August Burns Red and you take a lot from them, it's definitely something that you can hear the comparison with. Even talking about listening to their album that's going to be coming out, or the singles that have come off the album that's coming out on April 3rd. You can just hear the intensity and the impact that it has on the song. And you can definitely hear it in a good number of songs off of Art of Being Human as well.
Yeah, you can hear it, of course.
Any other bands that come to mind?
Even in the drum parts. Also, Dario Lovsov and August Burns Red a lot. So we are both inspired from them.
Well, not only that, but if you can get inspired by their live shows as well, because I saw them once live last year, and it was at a music festival where we have there's really no open space. It's just on the space in front of the stage. There's a bunch of metal benches. Okay. And because people were getting very, very intense, very rowdy, the mosh pits were trying to go, but we had no space to really go and mosh with. Oh. A couple of us ended up taking a good number of the benches, clearing people off them, and flipping them up. So it went from like flat on the ground to straight up. So we just had more room to mosh and go crazy. Unfortunately, security came rushing in to try and get these benches down. And the guys from August Burns Red absolutely loved the intensity that we brought with it. But it's, they wanted us to get them down because that's what the music festival wanted. That's what security wanted.
Okay.
We wanted security just to hold them up because it was going to be a lot safer if they did.
I used to mosh too, but...
Not anymore?
No, not anymore. I prefer to listen.
Was it just that change in preference that made you stop, or was there a certain incident that made you not want to mosh anymore?
No, it was just like I want to listen to the band.
Okay, that's fair enough. Where I was gonna go with that is as you're gonna be turning on the camera.
Oh yeah, I'm here.
There we go. So when I was gonna go with that is when you're dealing with the changing of preferences. So especially as you're growing as a musician as well, that's probably one thing you really want to focus on when you're watching certain bands play is how they're playing, what they're sounding like, and you're kind of critiquing a little bit more of the specifics that they're doing with what they're doing live.
Yeah, I watch a lot of live shows from the bands because I want to learn from them, the moves, because with music, especially metal, for me, it's not always the playing, but it's like the performing and how you deal with the crowd and all stuff like that.
Very understandable, because even in my time as well, I've seen some bands where when they're on stage, just their commanding presence and the energy that they bring, and also that the energy that the fans bring, that just they feed off of each other, can create for some really great shows. However, I've seen the opposite as well, where really there's not much command of the stage, what's going on. There's not as much energy.
Yeah, it was like, hello, we are... This is our next song. Okay, thank you. The next song is, something like that. You don't cope with the crowd.
Yeah, I've seen that from a couple of bands. I'm not going to name their names on here just because I don't feel like it right now. But it was a lot of, we're going up there, we're going to play a song, we're going to say thank you, we're going to jump into the next one. And it's just continually straight down the line. But then there's also...
I guess Meshuggah do that.
Meshuggah?
Yeah, a friend of mine went to see them, and he told us that they were like that. But that's okay, because it's not always wrong. If you try to behave like someone you're not, you are made this way, so it's okay if you do that way. But sometimes crowd doesn't like it.
Exactly. One thing you also have to do is read the crowd, because the one of the bands that I saw when they just kind of played straight through, it was something where the fans were kind of just standing around, kind of just bopping their heads around like this. So it was something where there was no interaction between the band and the fans. So it felt real dry and like kind of like the band didn't want to be there. However, if it was someone, let's say like a heavy metal band or a metalcore band where you're going to get a lot of, like, I'll use Lamb of God as an example, where you're going to get a whole room of people just moshing like crazy. You don't necessarily need to consistently stop and address the crowd and talk to them and kind of break up the momentum of the show. You can just play straight through and be fine. I believe the only band I saw that kind of came close to doing something like that was when I saw Seven Dust. But just the energy that was at that show and with the way the mosh pit was going, it probably would have been worse had they stopped and just kind of broken up a little bit. But they mostly played straight through, and that was the way to go.
Yeah, yeah. With Lamb of God, also Danny loves Lamb of God. Yeah, he really go crazy about them.
Well, because I remember when I was listening to the album, Danny's vocals really stood out to me, especially with the range that he's able to put out there as a vocalist, because going between the clean and unclean vocals that he does was something that was absolutely astounding, to where with his unclean vocals, I do see a lot of inspiration from Lamb of God with that kind of a sound, but also it reminded me of the unclean vocal style of Tim Lambesis from As I Lay Dying.
Okay, yeah.
So you really had this incredibly hard, unclean sound that was powerful. But then when I heard his clean vocals, I have to say it was something I was not expecting nearly at all, because it sounded like something that would come out of like Alter Bridge with Miles Kennedy. And that's something where to get that kind, I'm not trying to say, they sound exactly like it. I'm using it as a comparison to show just his unclean vocals, his clean vocals are so different, but they're fantastic with the range you're able to provide. And on a good number of songs on Art of Being Human, I mean, just the switch between the clean and the unclean vocals was something that was absolutely astounding.
Yeah, thank you, man. A lot of people think that clean vocals, there are two guys in the band doing vocals, one that screams and one that does clean vocals. But when they figure out that there is only one guy, they go like, how can you do that?
Yeah, I had to do that as well when I was, because I kind of was like, wait, there's got to be someone doing something different, just because of the massive range that was there. So I ended up watching your music video for Light It Up just because I wanted to see if there was like someone doing the difference between the clean and the unclean vocals. Plus, we'll get into the feature of who the feature vocalist was on later, because I wanted to see when his part was coming in as well. But I just couldn't believe that Danny was doing both those clean and unclean vocals with such precision, with the unclean and the clean, and the transitions between them were flawless.
Yeah, he trains a lot, and he really, I think that main point of a good vocal is taking care of it, and he takes care of it a lot. So, also when you are on tour or you have 3 shows straight, you need to know how to keep your vocals clean, don't hurt your throat, and something like that. So that is a key element for me in vocals.
Oh, very much so, because I know, I believe it was Caleb Shomo of Beartooth was having an issue with that, you're playing, a couple shows straight. All of a sudden you get to the second last show or the last show of that stretch of 2 or 3 or 4 shows, and just the vocals were not there that they should have been, just because taking care of his vocals it just wasn't nearly as prevalent. But then fixed it up, learned what he had to do, and then all of a sudden now, I saw him and Beartooth play at the end of October in 2019 when they were opening for A Day to Remember, and
I remember that tour. I would love to be in America in that way. That
was a fun tour. That was a fun show to be at, because it was just the energy that Beartooth brought was insane. And this was after a stretch. I think they had 3 or 4 straight shows, and just you could tell that the difference in Caleb Shomo's vocals after he started really figuring out how to take care of them, much like what Danny is doing. Because the difference was between the first show and the last show, because I took a look at the first show, a little bit of the live videos on YouTube, and his vocals didn't sound any different.
Okay, yeah. You go, because sometimes you do too much on the show. The crowd hypes you too much, and then you stretch your voice, and then it happens. You have to be aware of what you're doing without everything else.
Yeah, very much so. And now I've kind of was I was kind of waiting on this, but now I really have to jump into Art of Being Human, because we'll start out with the beginning of this album. So when you first started writing this album and making the music for it, what was that process like? Especially because, I mean, it's your most recent album. It came out just a little bit under a month ago, and I think it's fantastic. So I really want to understand what the process was for writing this album was.
Okay, so we started writing this album like 2 years ago. And the first song that I wrote, I guess, was Stand Tall, the first one on the album. And also was the first single that we released. And we started with that one, and the other songs came along the way. We wrote it along the way after Stand Tall, and after after Wake Up, that was the second single, we started to record the whole album because we had everything ready to record. Basically we first started to record the instrumental parts and then the voice over them. That's it.
Well, what was who wrote the lyrics for this album? Was it you? Was it Danny? Or was it Alex? Or was it Dario?
No, it was Danny mostly. I had like 2 or 3 lines in the whole album, so it was almost all Danny.
Okay, well, just because Danny's not here with us right now, when Danny was writing this album, what was the inspiration behind the lyrics? What was the main point that he was trying to get across with this album?
Okay, I guess that the main point is that as human beings, we are all different. We have infinite range of emotions, and then he wanted to express them in the best way he could do. Sometimes there are real stories on the songs. Sometimes are just feelings, but real life stuff always.
And with many of the bands I've talked with as well, and many of the bands that released albums, especially in 2019, just because those are the ones I really were able to dive into and fully review, take a look at the lyrics. That's something that a lot of the albums that I absolutely loved that's what they were really probably strongest with, was when their lyrics and when their the message behind the album came from either real life emotions or real life experiences. Because when you do that, you're able to really draw on this intense emotion that allows I would say your music to sound even more human.
Yeah. In some way you kind of touch the heart of the listener because he feels involved to it,
Oh, very much so. And I've one example of that, especially from 2019, that I heard that was on the album How It Feels to Be Lost by Sleeping with Sirens, because their lead singer Kellen Quinn dove into the previous 2 years since they released their album in 2017, Gossip, and how his life kind of started spiraling out of control. He became an alcoholic, and then the point where he was going to end up losing his family over his actions, and the inspiration to stop that and to somewhat better himself, to try and become a better father, a better husband, and a better friend and a better bandmate as well. And you could hear the emotion in the lyrics as well, especially when if you just read them or if you heard him sing them. And when you do something like that, it allows people to connect with your lyrics and your songs even more so, because they're able to relate their own personal experiences to what, you guys went through, what Danny went through, or whatever you guys are trying to put out in your music. And not only that, but it ends up giving those feelings and those emotions that people are feeling a tangible voice that they can express with, and that's all through your music.
Yeah, I fully agree with that. Yeah. Also, I Prevail have really touching lyrics, and we all go through something, uh, even if we don't tell it. And these songs and these lyrics can help a lot some people, and that is a great cool way to help someone without directly help someone. You take the worst of your life or your thoughts or what really hurt you, and you turn it into the best.
Oh, very much so. And I love the fact that you brought up I Prevail as well, because with their album that came out last year, Trauma, I built their song Hurricane, which was, I think, the best song off that album because of all the transitions that they went through within the instrumentation with the different styles they went with at different points in the song. But you watch the music video and you listen to the lyrics as well, you're able to really understand what the band members have gone through since, what it was like starting the band, what it was like getting off the ground, and what it's been like touring, and the emotional toll it took on them, especially when it came
also,
to
A Day to Remember done that.
Oh yeah, A Day to Remember's done that as well.
It's like you love that band because they are real. They talk about real stuff, and you I don't know, they're awesome with what they're doing.
Well, even when I'll use A Day to Remember as well as this example with their song Right Back at It Again.
Yeah.
And that was right after their whole the issue that they had with I forgot what record company they were signed
Victory
to.
Record, I guess.
Yeah. So everything that was going on with Victory Records, and then they came out with Right Back at It Again as their first single following the lawsuit with Victory Records. And they came back saying, it's basically, kind of with that anthem of, you can try and keep us down, but you're not going to be able to keep us down. Yeah, and I absolutely loved it. And then when you were speaking about how those lyrics connect with you and make you feel, not basically at times, especially when you're going through, say, something that's a little bit more of downtrodden or more depressive and just not feeling the best about yourself, finding music that really can help you uplift you or help you relate something that's going on with you to what other people went through, and to know that it's going to be okay. And for me, those bands were one, of course, being Rise Against, just because I listen to them all the time. And then I also connected with 30 Seconds to Mars on that.
Of course.
And Skillet as well, because it's just something where it was something that was more, it was bad. I'll just put it that for me. It was bad, but just trying to, pick myself back up and just to keep myself going. Their music was the one, like all those bands, their music was the one thing that was saying, keep going.
Okay. That's cool. Yeah. You really need sometimes something to hold on, or that tells you to keep going, because it's not always so easy to go on, especially if you have some dreams or something like that. So music can really help you with that.
Oh, very much so. Music is the one thing that it can instantly change your mood.
Yeah.
So if you're down, you can find a song that's gonna, make you feel better by uplifting you, by uplifting up your spirits. If you're feeling happy, you're gonna listen to a song that's happy to maybe amplify it. If you're very sad, maybe you're going through a breakup or something, you listen to sad music just because, even though it's going to amplify that emotion that you're feeling, it's going to let you express it and let you process it instead of holding it in.
Yeah, it helps you. If you go through it a lot, you can go out of it, and music can do this. It puts you down a lot and then cheers you up.
Oh, very much so. And that's one of the reasons why, when it comes to ever since I started this podcast and the project that I'm working on, or that where this podcast came from, I always liked rock, hard rock, punk rock, but then it ended up getting me a little bit more into metal, and then metalcore specifically. And I can't get enough of it, just because I haven't been back to those bad moments in a long time. But what metalcore does is it just amplifies my energy. gets my motivation going. So that's why I love to listen to it all the time. And I want to go into Stand Tall as well, which was the first song off of Art of Being Human, because right when it starts, I mean, it has this intense and strong metalcore feel, especially instrumentation that you wrote. And for someone that is really into that genre now, I mean, it drew me into the album right away within the first 20 seconds.
Oh, thanks, man. You know, Stand Tall hits a lot. And we decided to put it on the first track just because of it. And it has kind of deep lyrics, you know. The first verse is, we're the sons of the choice we make, you know. You are what you do. So it's not so easy always to process it, because, you know, a lot of situation you think that happens because, oh, I'm unlucky or something like that. But the main point for me is that you build your house, you know, from yourself.
It's not about, I was gonna say, it's not about how, what's the best way to put this? It's not about how you, but about the situations that you find yourself in. It's about how you react to those situations and what your actions do to respond to those situations. Whether it's you know, I'm just going through a breakup as an example. It's what are your actions following that? What are you gonna do? Are you gonna, I mean, you're gonna end up gonna feel bad about it just because that's the emotion, but what are you going to do about it? Are you going to let it really keep you down? Then all of a sudden, a couple years down the line, you're not going to make many decisions that are going to make you happy. And you're going to end up consistently blaming that situation as the reason why. Exactly. Or are you going to use that as motivation to maybe create something and lift yourself up and maybe change for the better even.
You know, great songs came out from breakups. So
oh, very much so. I mean, my favorite song of all time is about accepting the fact that you broke up with someone and they're no longer going to be with you, but you're okay with it. I mean, that's the point of my favorite song of all time.
You got to cope with what you have and not with what you don't have.
Exactly. And especially when you're talking about Stand Tall as well, where it's again, I would say this is the best way to describe it, is how we act in those moments of adversity, how we respond to those moments, and because that's what's going to define us, is not what we say or not what happens to us. It's how we react to what happens to us. And that's something that, you know, if Stand Tall, it makes you think, but it also makes you think that the next time you get in a situation like that you're going to go and do something and react to that situation in a way that you want to react to it, and maybe not in a way that your parents or your friends or how society says you should react to it.
Yeah, of course. Because I think that even if we are surrounded by people, we are still alone. But that's not a sad thing. But that's cool because the environment can influence your decision. But you need to focus on yourself, and you need to focus with what you want to do. And then your decision needs to come along with that.
Yes, very, very much so. I totally agree with that. And I think Stand Tall especially is the opening track with the intro that it has, bringing, especially if you like that metalcore style, just bringing you right on into it. And then the whole entire message behind the song being, you know, you are who you are because of how you react to the situations that you find yourself in. That's what defines you. And to think about when you're in one of those situations, how you're going to react to that, which is going to be basically how you come through those moments of adversity, what your character looks like. I mean, you're going to find out about that. That's what Stand Tall really stands out as. And it's a great way to start the album out as well, because it gets you thinking in that mindset throughout the rest of the album.
Yeah, also the title of the song, you know, Stand Tall. You have to stand tall in some situation of your life. Just because if you don't stand tall, you might fall down, and that's hard to get up then, you know. We all fall and we all need to get up somehow.
That's why I'm always thinking back to the classic quote from the Rocky movies, where it's not how hard you hit, it's not how hard you hit, it's how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward, how much you can take and keep moving forward, because that's how winning is done. It's not about the easy part of it, it's how you react and how you deal with those hard moments in life.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, now I gotta jump back to Light It Up, because you guys had a featured artist on that song, and I gotta ask, how did you get Aaron Pauley of Mice and Men to be featured on Light It Up?
Okay, well, that's a cool story. Let's start from the beginning. So we wrote this song like 2 years ago, and we were in the studio, me and Danny. He came up with the main riff, the one that starts the song. And then we were like, oh, that's cool, And we made the chorus. Danny made the chorus. And then we were like, oh, Aaron will be perfect for this track. His voice will fit so well. And then we had the opportunity to open for Of Mice and Men in October 2018. 2018, yeah. And then we met Aaron and the rest of the guys. And before the show, we went to Aaron. We were like, hey, here's Light It Up. And what do you think? We would love to have you on this track. And he was like, oh, yeah, I like it. So he told us to write to his email. And then we wrote to him. And after 1 year, he replied, and he was like, okay, I'm in, I want to do it. And so we started everything. But we kind of lost hopes because 1 year without replying, we were like, okay, we tried, no problem. But then he replied, and we were, whoa, you serious?
I mean, I understand that where you sent off the email to ask Aaron about it, and you didn't hear back. It sounds like you guys didn't get discouraged until, after a year, it's like, okay, I guess he doesn't want to do it. But in the end, it ended up working out because he's featured on the track, and I believe that's his first feature on a track that's not Of Mice and Men for the first time in, I think, about 10 years?
Yeah, that's it.
And I absolutely loved the addition of him on this as well, because he went with clean vocals on this track as well. But when I listened to the clean vocals, I mean, you saw a different range between his clean vocals and Danny's clean vocals and how they came off on that song. But what I loved how you constructed that song with his feature, as well as you didn't do it where all of a sudden it was, Danny's unclean vocals and then Aaron's clean vocals and then Danny's unclean vocals or Danny's clean vocals. You didn't have that unclean vocal break in between. It was, you had Danny's clean, then Aaron's clean, and then you had Danny's clean again, I believe. And the reason why I thought that worked out very well is because even though they're clean vocals, they had a little bit of a different range to them. You were able to contrast their sounds along with your instrumentation as well to kind of change it up a bit. Not too much, but a little bit. And that contrast really shined brightly on that song.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we really love clean vocals of Aaron. So we wanted it so bad that we didn't want that he screamed in the track, So we... how can I say it? We came with the idea that a lot of feature has their time, that 30-second of feature, but we wanted to interact with each other, Danny and Aaron. So the final chorus together is like something that you don't see so often with features, and that's the part we like about it.
And I totally understand that as well, because a lot of times with features you do get that where I just got to look up something real quick to make sure I get it. But you do get something where all of a sudden, you're listening to those features And you do get that just little bit of it, and it does work out. But I love what you said as well with that last chorus, to where you blended the two together with Danny's vocals and Aaron's vocals. So it sounded more like it interacted. And the day we're shooting this podcast, with, I'm going to bring this up as well because I think this amplifies it perfectly. Because In This Moment came out with their new album, Mother, on the day we shot this.
Okay.
And there's one of their singles of it was called Hunting Grounds, which featured Joe Catella of Dead. And what they did in that song was they mixed Joe's vocals and Maria's vocals throughout the whole entire song. So it was something where it wasn't like a quick 30-second feature, a quick 15-second feature. I mean, their vocals were interacting all throughout the whole entire song, whether it was in the verses where it was like one line from Maria, then one line from Joe, one line from Maria, one line from Joe, or them mixing it in together with them saying the same line or splitting up just that specific line together. So when you get something like that, I mean, you have to be careful with when you do that as well, because if you find something where all of a sudden it doesn't necessarily work out, I mean, that's a decision you guys have to make. However, when it comes to with Aaron and Danny, when you mix those vocals in the last part of the chorus, or the last time you did the chorus, you could definitely get a different sound in there that both artists are able to pull off when you mix them together. And it just ends up amplifying the whole song.
Yeah, and then Aaron, when he came up with his part, it was really perfect from the first time. You know, he wrote the lyrics. We needed to tell him where to start, and that was it. He wrote the lyrics. He wrote everything. He wrote the harmonization on the last chorus. So there was a genuine, you know, artist performance with it.
Yeah, and that's definitely where you can tell where, especially with that last part of the chorus, if he was also writing the harmonization within it as well, you can see how the mixture works out well, instead of all of a sudden, you know, maybe if you guys would have if you were and Danny would have wrote the whole entire thing, and all of a sudden you just have brought Aaron in just to sing that part, it might not have worked as well, just because it might not have necessarily fit the right style that, you know, maybe if Aaron wrote the harmonization for it, like what happened, I mean, you might not have gotten the same sound that you did.
Yeah, of course, I agree with it. Yeah, you know, he's an artist and he needs his way to process everything, and that's his way.
And honestly, it worked out for the best. I have to say, it worked out for the best.
Thank you. Yeah, the first time I listened to it, I was in the bathroom, and damn, I was so happy that I can do what I did, but I did. I was so happy, really. It was like damn, Aaron Pauli. I couldn't believe it in that moment.
I'll say, don't worry. The first time I listened to that track, I was actually at my mom and dad's house, because during this whole entire coronavirus thing, for my full-time job, I have to work from home. Okay. However, I need a very good upload quality in my internet, and where I'm at right now doesn't have that, so I have to go by my mom and dad's house. So I was working, and I had the album pulled up, and I was listening to it, and all of a sudden there I am working, and next thing I notice, I'm starting to have trouble seeing the screens on my computer because my head is banging up and down like crazy.
That's cool. That's what we wanted you to do.
Well, you got, if that's what you wanted, you guys succeeded.
Thank you, man.
All right, I gotta jump to a couple of these songs because there's a couple that really stand out to me as well. I'm gonna go to the next song, "Wake Up," and and I gotta ask you about this one, especially with the construction, specifically from the intro, because I have to ask it. Did you have some sort of inspiration from Linkin Park on this one?
No. I wrote that song and I don't listen a lot to Linkin Park. I didn't thought of it, you know. And then, like, when it went out, like 1 month later, I was in the gym. I made a metal playlist and there was a song of Linkin Park, and I was like, damn.
Well, the reason I was gonna say, the reason I bring that up is because when I listened to "Wake Up" for the first time, especially with the intro, it had this interesting sound to it. Like, it was a mix of like some like electronic feeling new metal to it, which really reminded me of a lot of the intros that Linkin Park did on their initial album, Hybrid Theory.
Yeah,
so it was
yeah.
really something that stood out to me. And not only that, but I'm just going to use this as another catalyst in the whole album as well, because you guys went through a lot of different styles of music, a lot of different genres and subgenres of music within it. Like on Wake Up, I felt like that new metal electronica feel that Linkin Park would have had on Hybrid Theory. There's times you went with more of an alternative metal sound, with more of a metalcore sound. There were times in a lot of the choruses you went with this hard rock kind of sound. And almost every single time the transition between those styles was done fantastically, to the point where you couldn't even tell that was going on. It was a transition that was similar to what just kind of how smooth. I'm talking about the smoothness of the transition. Similar to what I heard on the transitions from a song that literally probably doesn't necessarily come close to kind of like what you guys were going with, which was Popular Monster by Falling in Reverse, because that song went through so many different styles with like rap, rock, metalcore, just everything. And the transitions were fantastic, so smooth for something that was just that crazy. But then when I listened to Art of Being Human, all those transitions, which were, you're going from hard rock to all of a sudden you're going to alternative metal, then metalcore, then like this new metal sound, and you're just going all over the place.
Yeah.
But those transitions were so well done that just spoke well to the construction of all these songs.
Thank you, man. Yeah, I think that transition, as you say, it's one of the most important part in music, because especially if you want to go from something to something, and when I wrote these songs, I wasn't really inspired by someone particularly. I was like in the flow, and I really had fun with it.
That's amazing to hear as well, because when you're able to have fun with it and you're able to do those transitions that smoothly, it increases the diversity of sound that you have within your music, but it also increases the dynamic style that your music is able to have.
Yeah. I guess dynamic is a cool point, because metal doesn't always have a lot of dynamics. It's all like up here, and other types of music has a lot of dynamic, like pop has a lot of dynamic. And the fact that lately I've been listening to a lot of pop, to a lot of blues or soul or something like that, improved that kind of writing part of the song.
Now that is something I was not expecting to hear, but I'm really glad that you said that, just because you're not putting yourself in a box. You're not putting yourself like in this, we're here, we're only going to stay in here. And especially,
I listen to metal for most of my life, and since like 2 years, I've been listening to everything, really everything except for metal. Yeah, but I keep track. I keep tracking the releases of cool bands that I like, and also some underground bands too that I like. But now I focus on especially pop. I love pop music just because of the music production, not just the song, but the music production behind the song. I really love it. So I think that, as you said, dynamics is one of that parts that maybe metal sometimes miss. So I try to improve it in our song.
Well, where I was going to kind of go with that as well is when you're talking about listening to pop and blues and all this other stuff, and you're seeing what they're doing, and you're kind of seeing what their writing style could be like, and how they transition between different things and how they have more of a dynamic sound to it. It just improves you as a songwriter as well, because you're able to use some of these as examples, and all of a sudden, okay, they did this kind of a transition in a pop song. What if we did that, but we did it in that, like with metal, and just made that happen? And all of a sudden you put it out there and boom, you have that happen. And I can easily see what you're saying when you're talking about how metal doesn't necessarily always have that dynamic style to it, because you listen to the big four thrash metal bands with Metallica, Megadeth, Slayer, and Anthrax. And don't get me wrong, they're fantastic bands.
They are.
And when it comes to thrash metal, I mean, like they perfected that sound. However, when it comes to some of like the real dynamic stuff on what they can do, they really don't venture outside of that thrash metal style as much. However, one thing I've been seeing lately is some metal bands and some metalcore bands trying a couple of different things, trying some of these transitions and trying to mix different aspects into their music. And some of them that I've heard, I mean, when you listen to them, you just kind of fall head over heels in love with that sound.
Yeah. I think that Falling in Reverse and I Prevail did that a lot lately. And the songs that came out are really stunning. Yeah, I love them.
I was going to say I Prevail is good at it, and I do like what they did on their last album with that kind of transition in style.
Yeah.
Especially with the last 4 singles that Falling in Reverse put out. I mean, when it comes to that kind of transition, a crazy transition between metal and rock and just some other crazy genres that you might put in there, I honestly don't think there's anyone better than Ronnie Radke at that.
Yeah, he's a fucking rock star, man. Yeah, he's really a genius in what he does, and he's like Matt Shadows, as we said before. When you listen to one of his songs, you immediately recognize him.
Yeah. And it's that's also it's with M. Shadows. It's when that voice hits, you can recognize it. And with Ronnie Radke too, it's something where you can recognize it, especially if you hear his early Escape the Fate stuff. Like if you hear Situations, it's just like,
oh man,
once you hear that intro, it's like his voice is just ingrained into your memory.
Yeah. Every time I hear the word situation, in my head starts the situations
are irrelevant now.
Oh man.
I was a little disappointed that in February, right before everything kind of got shut down here, I got to see them live, and right at the end of Falling in Reverse's set, he kind of teased that they were going to do Situations, and they were on tour with Escape the Fate at that time too. I was like, oh my God, this is going to happen. Nope, didn't happen. And I was just like, you gotta be kidding me.
In America, there are a lot of cool tours with cool bands. In Europe, you don't have that kind of, tour package here.
But when you go to that, there is a difference though, where here in America, yeah, we have all these like crazy tours come through where these bands are being put together. Like one I wanted to be able to see, but of course everything getting rescheduled, and I'm not sure I'm be able to just because of the date that's going to be in the city closest to me is the Five Finger Death Punch tour, because I've never seen Five Finger Death Punch. They're going to have Papa Roach as an opener for Five Finger, but then before Papa Roach is I Prevail. But then before I Prevail...
But I remember that tour.
But before I Prevail, like the opener for the whole entire thing is going to be Ice Nine Kills. And I'm like, I want to go for 2 reasons. 1, because I've never seen Five Finger Death Punch before, so I want to see him perform at least once. And 2, because I want to go see Ice Nine Kills perform again.
Yeah, they're also really, really, really good. Ice Nine Kills. I love them.
Yeah. Same here. I mean, I'm trying to think like merch wise and t-shirt wise, I probably got the most Rise Against stuff, but behind them right now is probably Ice Nine Kills. They just come up with the coolest stuff.
Even Five Finger Death Punch went to Europe with Of Mice and Men like 2 years ago.
Oh yeah,
and that's the tour where we played with Of Mice and Men, but they played without Five Finger Death Punch. So that's when we met Aaron and played with them. But they were on tour with Five Finger Death Punch.
Well, glad we were able to figure out who they were on tour with at that time. But where I was going to end up going with that whole entire tour thing with America, the difference between America and Europe is, from what I've heard from bands and from what I've seen, from what I've experienced here, is yes, we get more of those, big package tours, more of those crazy tours that's like, oh my God, I really want to go see these. However, from what I've heard from other bands and from what I've seen and talked to other people, the crowds that are in Europe are much different and much more insane than the crowds over here in America.
Really?
That's what I've heard, and from almost every band I've talked to.
Okay, that's cool. I remember I went when I was like 16. I went to see A Day to Remember plus The Ghost Inside. Ooh. And it was a really huge concert, and I was like in the second row with The Ghost Inside, and it was all okay. Like people were pushing, but I I can handle it. I was saying to myself, okay, I can handle it. This is worth worth the time spent here. And but I did remember started playing, and they went
Oh
crazy,
yeah.
really. Yeah, the first song was Violence. They opened with Violence, and okay, I said I gotta get out of here. I was pushed too much against the security. I couldn't handle it anymore.
Yeah,
And I stepped aside and listened to the concert. They were really awesome. I enjoyed that show a lot.
oh yeah, when I saw them, I have to agree as well because it was fun to see. They for when I saw them, they opened up with the downfall of us all. So of course you're the so everyone's just getting like amped up for that moment when all of a sudden you hear Jimmy McKinn just scream, "Let's go!" and place goes nuts. Every single time they did something like that, Mr. Highway, when they just yelled "disrespect your surroundings," of course everyone's going crazy. They do crowd surfing, the crowd surfer. There's bodies flying everywhere, and it was fun. But I've been in some like mosh pits that I've just had times where I'm like when I saw Ice Nine Kills. I mean, it was something I just had so much fun in that mosh pit. Second time I ever saw Motionless in White, I got this, I didn't even get to be in the mosh pit for them because I was in the mosh pit for After the Burial, who opened for them. And, last song, fall down, as I'm getting picked up, someone falls on me and their head hits my head and I start bleeding like crazy.
Oh.
Guy was trying to tell me, he's like, I'm so sorry. And I was yelling let me get out of here. And I wasn't mad. I wasn't mad at the guy for falling on me and like having this huge cut above my eye because it happens. Yeah. I just didn't want to bleed over everybody.
Yeah, I remember that at that show of A Day to Remember plus The Ghost Inside, a girl in front of me in the first row started feeling bad, and then the security guy took her over, like, in front of the stage. Yeah, and our friend, one of our friends, like, took her a slice of pizza from her bag out of nowhere. Like, eat. You will feel better. That's typical Italian stuff. You walk with slice of pizza in your bag, casually.
Well, that's why I'm hoping all this virus stuff is over by the time September rolls around. I'm able to come over to Europe and I'm able to see all this stuff because I've got a couple places. I've got 2 places I really am for sure going. The other ones are all up in the air. I'm trying to go like 3 or 4 different spots. So, I mean, after talking with you and talking with the guys from Stay in the Canvas, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna end up having to go to Italy during this trip. Yeah. So
Italy is a really, really cool country, even if it's difficult sometimes to live in it, especially when you make metal music. It's really hard here with metal music, but we have a lot of art. Even if you live here, you have a lot of things to do, a lot of things to say. There's so much history in here that I'm pretty sure that you will enjoy your stay.
Oh, I'm almost certain I'll enjoy my stay. I was over there last year because I was in Croatia for a little bit, and then I was in Amsterdam for like a day and a half. And I mean, that was probably the funnest week I've ever had in my entire life. So I was thinking about, like, I just want to go and do this again. And the 2 places I know I have to go to are, I have to go to Germany. I'm going to Munich because it'll be in September. I want to go to Oktoberfest and I want to enjoy.
You have to.
And then I have a friend that lives in Bratislava and I'm going to end up hanging out with her, and we're trying to go see as many shows as we possibly can. That's why I was saying, like, when you guys are reschedule your show that you missed, if you reschedule for Vienna, because it was like an hour train trip. Yeah, I was like, if you guys are going to be in Vienna, I'm going.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, we'll keep you in touch, of course.
Perfect. Sure. All right, I got to jump back into this album, though, because there's a couple other songs I want to talk about. And one is, it was one of the songs that stood out the most to me as probably the most different song on the album. And by that, I mean just the one that didn't sound like a lot of the others, where it had this one had a softer sound. It was 2 a.m.
Okay, yeah. It's one of my favorite songs from the album. 2 a.m. it came out out of nowhere, of course, we were in the studio, me and Danny, and he was asleep. And then I picked up the guitar and I made the first riff. And he was almost asleep, and he said, "Yeah, do it again, That's cool." And then he fell asleep. So I recorded it, and in that night I finished the song with everything. I wrote even the lyrics the next day, and then Danny adapted it to the song. That's from a breakup breakup song.
Okay, this is actually all kind of coming and making sense as well, because it had a much softer sound, or like a soft rock kind of vibe, especially from the opening, because it had a twangy style sound to the electric guitar that you're working with, which I mean, that initially draws you in. And then as I was listening to the song, it was much softer, it still had that rock sound. It was much more soft rock, much calmer overall, especially with the clean vocals. Talking about it as like a breakup song as well, it all fits into play. And I wrote something about this song as a comparison that I'm going to make, just because I think this works. And especially when you're talking about being a breakup song, for me, this just fits even more so, because when I listen to it, I categorize this song as a grave mistake moment. And what I mean by that is, one of my favorite albums of all time is The Silver Scream by Ice Nine Kills.
Okay.
If you listen to that album, it's hard metalcore throughout the whole entire thing, except for their song A Grave Mistake, because it has a much softer sound. It doesn't sound like it's going to fit on the album, but I've talked to so many people, and including myself, that might be my favorite song on the album.
Okay.
Just because of how well it's written and how much the contrast between the styles of how every other song sounds on the album versus that one. It's so different, but it's softer, but it hits with just the exact same amount of impact as all those harder songs do. And with 2 a.m., I mean, I listened to it and it felt the exact same way as if I listened to The Silver Scream all the way through and I get to A Grave Mistake. 2 a.m. reminded me of that incredibly. And I mean, that's kind of why I wanted to bring it up with, because I just wanted to applaud you with that. And especially with A Grave Mistake being about the movie The Crow, which kind of involves, there's a love connection involved where, I mean, the protagonist or the hero of the story, him and his wife are both killed right at the beginning of the movie, and then he comes back to avenge her death kind of thing. So kind of losing that loved one, especially this being a breakup song, that makes total sense. And that's why I'm kind of mind blown right now.
Yeah, I'm glad you liked it, really. That's one of my favorite song of the tracks, just because as I said, it's from a breakup, and it's from the worst breakup of my life. And I think that probably that person never heard of it and never will. And I'm okay with it. I'm glad with it. But, breakup sometimes gives you a lot of feels. So, as I said before, you have the worst and you turn to the best.
Oh, very much so. And I think that even makes more sense on why I connect with this song so much more and why I call it that A Grave Mistake moment, because if this was about like the worst breakup you ever had, and kind of, picking yourself back up and, you're using that as the motivation to better yourself, that just hits me right in the heart, mostly because
it's like it's more a realization that you can't go on with that person. And most times I mean, in my breakup, the hardest part was to realize that you won't be with that person anymore, and you have to find someone else. But the feeling is not, you need to understand that the feeling is not about someone but something.
Oh my God, Bruno, you are killing me with this right now. Because through my worst breakup ever and just going through all the depression and whatnot of it, the thing that kind of kept me going through it all was music. And to try and get through that, one of the main things that was kind of the catalyst which made me start all of this. that was the main catalyst for all of this. So, well,
That's awesome.
I mean, you just everything that you're describing about this song, just how I heard it and just how I categorize it, is that a grave mistake moment. Oh my God. I'm having an epiphany over here.
Oh man, I'm so happy.
One other thing about this song I do have to mention though is Danny's vocals, because he keeps them clean throughout pretty much the whole entire song, but about halfway through the song, like the pitch that he has, he increases the pitch by like an octave or two, and you can definitely hear it. And I even wrote down there like that change in the pitch and just how that works. I mean, that is vintage Miles Kennedy from Alter Bridge style. That's like just how he's able to pull that off. I mean, it fits. It's amazing. So I was just like, yeah, this is definitely something.
Thank you. Also, in this track, these tracks also feature our producer of the album, that it's Andrea Fusini, from the Fusic Studio where we recorded the album, because he has, he recorded Mass White. Don't know if you remember them. These guys from Italy that signed to Rise Records years before, and lately he's into pop a lot, and we wanted that song to sound like popper than the others, and we were like, we would like to, write something for this track, and he came up with that vocals, high-pitched vocals, and we were like, yeah, definitely, yeah. We loved it. That was awesome. He has a really incredible mind of producer.
I mean, that's an incredible moment too, to have that happen as well. So I mean, just through all that, the creation of 2 a.m., I mean, you really put together a great song.
Thank you, really.
Every piece of it. And then there is one more song I really want to go to on this album, and I apologize if I pronounce this wrong because it's the last song on the album, and I believe it's called Memento Vivere, but I think that's wrong.
Vivere. Memento Vivere.
Memento Vivere.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay, because as I was going through this album, of course, I get to the song, and I'm thinking, okay, what's this song going to be like? And I'm going to go with the Ice Nine Kills comparison again. And I called this song like I'm going to go back to the Silver Scream as well, just because I love that album. It was It Is the End moment. And on that, of course, on that album, that was the song about Stephen King's It with Pennywise the Clown, where they brought in a couple of the guys from Less Than Jake to bring in the trumpets to really experiment, making like this heavy metalcore, but sounding like you're at the circus sound. Yeah. And so it was very experimental. And why I bring that up is because you had this intro to it where all of a sudden you had this piano come in out of nowhere. And I'm just thinking, wait. What's going on here? Like, why is there a piano coming in here out of nowhere? And then the thing that really got me throughout the whole entire thing was that ended up leading into this whole metalcore sound, but you never got rid of the piano throughout the whole entire song. It was featured throughout the whole entire thing. It really gave this insanely epic feel to it. Like it was this epic ending of the album.
Yeah, thank you, man. There's a kind of funny story behind this song. We were in the studio, and Danny went to the piano to play the piano, and he started playing that first melody of the song, Yeah. And I was on the couch, and I was like, wait, do it again. And then I recorded it with my phone, and then later I went home and build the song from the piano. And that's a funny story about that song, because Danny did piano for like 10 years, I guess. I'm not sure if it's right. And that's one of the first song he wrote on the piano. And he told me that when he wrote it, he was imagining his death. And he started playing it, and I was like, okay, we gotta make a song from it. And then I recorded it and do the song at home. The piano is a really key element of the song because it gives you a lot of feels in the breakdown after the second verse that I didn't expect to come up with it, and I guess that's my favorite moment of the song.
I mean, that's kind of crazy how that all came together, but I wrote something for this song, like on the end of it, like, because I just kind of went through each song and did a little analysis of it, did a little review of it. And this is what I wrote for Memento Vivere. It was, overall, this song is standard Elyne from what the rest of the album was with that metalcore sound. However, the inclusion of the piano on this one and making sure that it stayed consistent and prevalent and featured throughout the whole entire track was a risk on the song, but it was a risk well worth taking, because they added a new dimension to the song that I wasn't expecting, as it, gave more of this orchestral and epic feel just with the inclusion of one instrument, and it adds all the depth to the song that you could ever imagine. And I'm going to say it for your songs on Art of Being Human, you guys saved the best for last.
Thank you, really, thank you. We really like Memento Vivere, also because it's really, really funny to play, even with drums. Me and Dario started to play it along like 1 year ago before the album came out, before we even recorded it. We would love to play along with it. And it kind of reminds me of A Little Piece of Heaven by Avenged Sevenfold. It's a whole different thing of song, but the orchestral stuff, everything really gives a creepy mood in everything of the song. And really, A Little Piece of Heaven, I think that
it's a good comparison.
Kind of fits
I would have to agree with you on that one. And now, because we kind of went through a good amount of the album, went through a good amount of the songs, I'm gonna say that I'm gonna say something to you, and then I'm gonna ask you a question off of it. So, Of course, at the end of the year for myself, I always put together a list of like 6 categories when it comes to all of a sudden, like, okay, end of the year awards, like what was the best album of the year, best song, most surprising album, and of course I do some of the negative ones as well, just because you do the positive, do the negatives, plus it always gets great conversation going. After listening to Art of Being Human, I literally I had my computer open, like I opened up my Excel sheet where I have all this stuff tracked. I'm like, okay, let's see, Art of Being Human. Let's put it over in the best album of the year category right now, because it definitely belongs there. And I've got other bands on there, like right now with like Stain the Canvas's album is on there because I thought that was fantastic as well. Anti-Flag's album from the beginning of this year, I put that on there right now because I'll pick 10 and then I'll have run through the list. And I think the other one I have on there right now is what's the other one I have on there right now? Hollywood Undead's new album from New Empire. So I'm like, these 4 right now are the albums. It's like I'm stuck on them. I still listen to them a lot, especially given the fact that maybe if they came out 2 months ago, 3 months ago, a month ago. Doesn't matter. It's like, I want to make sure that these are on the list and make sure that these are tracked. I'm like, I got to put Art of Being Human on there because it is fantastic. So it definitely deserves a spot on that best album of the year list after the first 3 months of the year. Yeah, it's there and it's probably going to end up staying on that list come the end of the year.
Thank you. I'm so glad about it. Really, thank you.
So now with that, because now you got my reception from the album, from the fans and from the rest of the rock metal community. What was the reception like from them in regards to Art of Being Human?
Yeah, we had a lot of response with it. And the cool thing about it is that to a lot of people stood out songs that were not singles. A lot of people liked Ithaca or The Voice Inside. And we really didn't expect that people would go with them a lot. So that's the cool stuff about this album that we like really a lot, that people don't appreciate only the singles.
That is something that's incredible to hear as well, due to the fact that with a lot of these big releases from a lot like bigger bands, not only within rock or metal. I mean, that's also include country music, pop music, every kind of music as well. It's the singles get pushed incredibly hard. And then when the album comes out and you listen to it, it's, everyone you talked about what's your favorite song. And all of a sudden it's like, oh, I like this song or this song. And they're always talking about like the one or two singles that are coming off of that album. Yeah. The fact of the matter is that when you came out with this album and a lot of people are saying their favorite songs were not the singles, and the fact they still like the singles, it's like, but this was even better. I mean, that just speaks to how well this album was constructed.
Yeah, thank you. And the cool stuff is that if people like songs that are not singles, is because they're listening to it from the beginning to the end. So that's really cool. Not just because you put out an album and you want people to listen to it, but because of music. We make music, we express something different in every song, and we are really glad that people listen to it from the end to the beginning.
Oh yeah, very much so. And that's kind of one thing that I absolutely loved about like with this album as well, especially when I finally got to listen to it, got my hands on it, because I mean, I hadn't listened to any of you guys' stuff up until I got to listen to this album. So getting to hear it and just getting to really feel it and understand all of it throughout. I mean, that was something that really just, like, take a look at the songs that are like all of a sudden you bring it up like 2 a.m. and then Memento Vivere. It's just like, those weren't the singles. And I like that, like when I said you saved the best for last, I mean it. Like, that was awesome.
Yeah, I would really love to make a music video for 2 a.m. With that track, I think that you can be very, very creative with image of how the music video is structured. You can play with a lot of things, a lot of metaphors, you can really have a lot to imagine with it. But the track that stands out to us is Outbreak.
Because why did Outbreak stand out to you guys?
Outbreak came out as a stream track, no music video, and on Spotify it had really a lot of success. And I don't know, maybe we'll make a music video for that. We have to decide, in the next months after this whole coronavirus is over.
Oh yeah, but whether you decide between Outbreak or 2 a.m., you're not going to go wrong with deciding on either or.
Thank you. I guess that 2 a.m.
Well, when that music video comes out, I'm just gonna be like, we're watching this. We're stuck on it.
Yeah, I hope that all this coronavirus stuff will be over soon, just because first of all, we want to go out on the road again. And then, we all want to see our girlfriend. And, as music, I have a kind of studio here at my home, so I can enjoy myself with making music and something like that. Also with PlayStation, to kill time. But I'm after like 2 weeks and a half, I'm started getting tired of it, but there's not much that we can do. So
we just got to stay positive throughout this whole entire thing, because when you have a positive mindset, it's going to end up helping out, because that's one reason why, for myself specifically, when it comes to all the news about this coronavirus and everything, I mean, when things first started getting shutting down here in the United States, when all of a sudden the NBA got suspended because now there's no more basketball, then baseball. I mean, yesterday was supposed to be opening day for Major League Baseball. That didn't happen. Hockey got canceled. Like auto racing, like Formula or the IndyCar series and NASCAR and even Formula One, like that got pushed back, and it's just like that's
I miss
when I was
NBA
really
so much.
Like I was just like, I'm like, you got to be kidding me! Like that's when I was really starting to feel it. But then I stopped paying attention to any kind of news media or any news source, just because I'm still gonna end up staying informed on what's going on, but I didn't want to listen to it too much or really pay attention to it too much for the sole purpose of I just kept getting like depressed and just started feeling angry about it. And I just didn't want to do that because it put me in such a negative mindset. So I thought, you know what? Stop paying attention as long as I know what's going on and I just do what I can do to stay healthy for myself and for the people around me. You know what? I'll be good.
Yeah, the only positive thing, I guess, about staying at home is like with the routine we had, we didn't have a lot of time for ourselves, and start building a different routine based with ourselves, like, you know, work out at home, cook something, do something that you didn't do before. It can help us in a lot of ways.
Yeah, we've got the same thing as well, where I was always going to the gym. I'm always busy with everything, going to work, and all of a sudden can't go to the gym. I have to work from home.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of change up the routine, which first couple of days, I mean, that honestly was a little scary just because I'd done the same. I had gotten to such a routine, gotten such just a motivating mindset. All of a sudden it completely changed up on me. However, after a couple of days, I'm spending more time working on my music stuff. With my full-time job, I'm more efficient with it. For us, we're able to kind of go outside and get exercise as well if we want. So I'm running outside or I'm biking outside and I'm staying as far away from people as possible while I do it.
Yeah.
So if I see someone, especially while I'm running, all of a sudden I'm like, all of a sudden, next thing you know, I'm 20 feet away from going way around.
Yeah, same thing here. Yeah.
So it's something where it's again, keeping the positive mindset so that we can think about the positives that this is bringing in such a negative time. Because all of a sudden, once we kick this virus's ass, once we get back to what we were doing, once music gets back to every single band back on the road, back touring, back performing, back doing what they love, and all of us fans over here happy to be able to go to these shows again and get as rowdy as ever. Yeah. I mean, that's just going to be something where there's going to be so much more of a connection between the bands that are performing and the fans that are listening.
Yeah, I guess that this will improve a lot the connection between each other. You know, you enjoy stuff like a lot more when it will be all over.
Oh, very much so. It's the classic saying, you don't know what you have until it's gone.
Yeah.
And now that it seems like a lot of things are being taken away from people just because you can't go outside, you can't gather in large crowds. And it's something, a lot of things are being taken away from people, but it's helping. You take a look at the positives, you're able to focus more on yourself, what you're doing with life, figure out what you actually want to do with life, whether you are doing it right now or you want to make a change. Or for me specifically, it's okay. One thing I've always been thinking about is, okay, now, you know, all these bands, all these artists, now they can't perform. They're sitting at home doing, you know, having to do something that they're not used to, which is kind of taking a break. So kind of, I'm always curious is like, what's going on there? What are they doing? And also with what I'm doing, maybe it's like, how can I kind of take it? It's going to sound a little weird, but like, how can I take advantage of that to help other help these bands that I absolutely love to listen to continue to have influence with their music so that people can hear it, people get inspired by it, people grow with it. And then with bands that are not at those upper echelons, like not the height that A Day to Remember is.
Okay. Yeah.
But it's like, if bands are working to get up there, how can we help them out as well? And
yeah.
Just keep,
because you know, for bands, the most important stuff is like go out and play shows. And when you can't play shows, or you know, it's getting difficult, and then, you know, most underground bands lives with merchandise, so helping band with merchandise is the best way to help each other from home at these difficult times. But everything will go back to normal. So you're right, we gotta stay positive, absolutely, because it will be over sometimes. So if you like turn yourself down, it will be even more difficult to get up later when it's all over. So, and we are lucky because you can work at home, I can work at home, we can work with music. Some people can lose their job staying at home, so we are lucky with it.
Yeah, we are both very fortunate in that space. And when it comes down to it, I'm always thinking about like, how can we make the most out of the time or the situation that we're in? And that's what I'm trying to do with a lot of this stuff for the Chord Progression podcast for My Song a Day Rock 2000 Day is how can I make the most of it now that I have a little more time to work on some of this stuff? Yeah. What can I add to it? What can I do to make things even better? What can I do to, help support artists as well? Because I end up finding a shirt that oddly enough Ice Nine Kills put out that was a lot of the proceeds are going to helping out all the crew, all the crew that helps put all the shows together, that sets up, that tears down, all that stuff. Yeah. So I found a shirt that they were putting out there like that. I'm like, oh, of course it's Ice Nine Kills. I gotta get it. and then other people that are around that are maybe losing their jobs as well, because even I gotta pull out this thing to show you. I think it's gonna be hilarious. But
okay,
an artist that I found on Instagram, do you know creates those Funko Pop dolls?
Okay,
and she creates custom ones of a lot of she's really getting into more music with it. And the one that I end up asking her for that she sent me is right here, and it is Spencer Charnas from Ice Nine Kills as Pennywise the Clown from their It Is the End video.
Damn. Oh, that's awesome, man.
So
that's really awesome.
I found that. I'm like, oh my God, this is awesome. So I got one and absolutely I can't wait to work with her on something again. Oddly enough, yesterday when I got it, or 2 days ago I got it, yesterday I talked to her about it and she ended up making one that, oddly enough, she made one of Ronnie Radke.
Okay.
And I saw Ronnie Radke post about it on Instagram and Twitter. I'm like, oh, I didn't see. Oh, he posted about that. That's awesome. She messaged me back about a minute later saying, yeah, I just mailed it out to him. I was like, oh my God, this is awesome.
Yeah, it is. It is.
So even in a time like this where a lot of things are going on, where our worlds are completely upended, we're all still able to support each other to help each other out, whether it's just through, supporting stuff like, maybe getting some merch or listening to their music or trying to, get more people to listen. All of a sudden, next thing you know,
with a comment or a simple text message, you can cheer someone up with a situation. So every little thing is really helpful for everyone.
That's what I'm hoping, especially with after this album release, your monthly Spotify listeners go from, you guys are around just over, almost at 56,000 from the past month. I'm expecting to see that at 75, 80,000, especially after that album came out.
Yeah, when the album came out, we were 62,000. And then we went to 56, but that's because the routine of the people changes and people don't listen to music as much as it was before, because people listen to music when they go to work or when they go to the gym. They can't do everything like that, so routine changes and the way that people listen to music changing too. So that's okay for us, no problem. That's cool.
As long as people are still able to connect with your music, that's what's really key. And not only that, but taking a look at your album, I believe overall had 1.3 million streams throughout all the platforms that it's on. I think it was something like that.
I guess something like that. Yeah. And Adam knows it better, but I guess only on Spotify our album now will be around 950,000, something like that. Only on Spotify.
Well, let's hope we can get up to 1 million.
Yeah, I hope so.
Well, I'll put it this way. Let's not hope it'll get to 1 million, because it's going to get there. Let's just hope it gets there real soon.
Yeah, I hope to. That's I guess that this will happen soon, because when the album came out, since now we had 100,000 streaming in less than 1 month. So hopefully the remaining 50K streamings will go.
It'll get there. It'll
I
get
arrive
there.
soon. Yeah.
I even think with a time like this where people are still trying to find new music just because you might be sitting at home and all of a sudden you're listening to the same old stuff over and over and over again. It's just, you want a little bit of a change. Boom. If you like metalcore, if you like alternative metal, you gotta listen to this Elyne album. My God, you have to listen to it. And not only that, but because I took a look at some other things from you guys as well in terms of other artists that you've played with. And I took a look at some of them, and I mean, there are some big names in there that you guys have played with because of, you mentioned of Mice and Men earlier, and then I took a look at some of the other ones that you played with, like Architects, which is absolutely tremendous. The Ghost Inside, Silverstein, and Chelsea Grin. It's just, these are some big names that you guys are playing with. So as you can tell, it's, you guys are no band that's just like, oh, we're just starting out. It's like, no, you guys have this established act that just keeps growing and growing and growing.
Yeah, it's like more of a process, we started everything, and like bricks in the house, you put one, you put 2, 3, 4, and you build the house. It takes some times, but I think that crowd will be, our crowd is really hyped about us, and that's okay because they follow us since like 5 years, and so that's a cool thing about our crowd. And about the band that we play with, Architects are a really cool name. We opened them in 2014, The Ghost Inside in 2015. The last one that we opened are Of Mice and Men, like in 2018. And they all are really cool guys. No rock stars, behave. So we had a really great time with everyone.
I mean, that's fantastic to hear. And I've just got to pull up that, because pretty much the first time I ever heard your guys' name was on the podcast with Stain the Canvas when they said they opened up for you guys in Germany. So Stain the Canvas has also played with you guys.
Yeah. We played together in Milan like 2 times. Yeah, 2 times in December and during the summer. Yeah, we were doing a European tour, and it was like the last show of the tour in Milan, and we played together. They are really great guys. We love them. Yeah, we love them and their music.
Oh, easily, and I love their metalcore sound as well. And I'll put it this way: like I said earlier, with my best albums of the year, if I didn't love their metalcore sound, it wouldn't be on that best album of the year list. If I didn't love your guys' sound, it wouldn't be on that list. But it's there, and it's there to stay.
Yeah, I guess that with Stain the Canvas, the cool thing is that you go back in time, but staying in 2020. That's the cool thing about them.
Yeah, because I kind of like what I thought about was like, if you kind of go back in time with them, like their initial it's not like the metalcore sound. It sounds similar. It sounds like they're picking up where Bring Me the Horizon left off after the Sempiternal album. Like if they kept going in that metalcore style. So it's kind of like, you're going back in time a little bit. However, with their more orchestral sound to it, it's it's something for 2020. So it's you're going back and forward at the same time.
Yeah, they can write really good music.
Oh yeah. So it'll be interesting to see between the two of you who I end up picking as what album I pick over the other for.
Oh, you don't want to start a war.
I don't want to start a war, but the fact of the matter is, you guys are both going to be out there.
So I guess that's no problem for me if we pick the second spot.
We'll see where you guys end up coming in, because again we got
plenty of time.
I'll say we got 9 more months to go with albums coming out, so we'll see what happens. But I also have to ask you something like this because I'm very curious. You've played all over Europe. You've played with all these bands like Of Mice and Men, like Architects, like Chelsea Grin, like The Ghost Inside. So with all these tours, all these shows, what is the craziest story, the craziest experience that you had when it comes to playing a live show?
Okay. There are one, like from 1 year ago. We were in Germany. We played that festival and we were headlining it. and our show had to start like around midnight, but we started at 1 a.m. So after a whole day of shows, you might think that people starting getting tired or something like that, but no, they were all drunk and hyped up, cool crowd we like. And then we started playing. Everyone was really going crazy, and one guy jumped on the stage without his shoes, like randomly. And then he fell off the stage. After the show, we noticed some blood on the floor, and that blood, we started following that blood, and it went to the backstage. And on the backstage there was a window where we can load in or load out our stuff, and the footprints of blood followed that window out the window. And I was like, fuck, it's like a Detective Conan, I don't know.
Yeah.
And I guess that this guy opened his foot on the stage with like some glasses or a broken bottle or something like that, and he escaped through the window on the in the backstage, and we don't know where he is. We don't know who he is. We don't know if he's good. We don't know nothing about it. That was kind of scary because you follow footprints that blood footprints that go through the whole venue and to the backstage. It was crazy and funny.
This sounds like the start of a horror movie.
Yeah, it can be. It can be.
Playing up on stage, all of a sudden some random guy comes in and just runs off, and you're like, what the heck's going on? And all of a sudden you'll notice there's bloody footprints, and no one knows where it is, but you see he jumped out the window. It's from backstage, and you're wondering, who the heck is this guy? Where did he go? I mean, that sounds like the beginning of a horror movie right there.
And then Ice Nine Kills can make a horror song about it.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if you told them about that. They might. I mean, it's very possible.
Yeah, it was really crazy.
Oh my God. That's, I mean, that has to just kind of also be, like you said, scary too, because you just don't know who it is. And all of a sudden, where do these random footprints go?
Yeah. I don't know. The main point is that I don't know why he didn't wear his shoes.
I mean, did he lose his shoes during the show, or?
I don't know. It was dark. Lights were going on. I was playing. I really don't know. I just noticed this guy in front of me that came on the stage and then jumped out of it. And I don't know.
All right. I'm going to say my guess is that he probably lost his shoes during the show, because that's happened to me before.
Oh, okay.
So what probably happened was he probably got in the mosh pit. His shoes were not tied tight, and right when he got hit, he probably fell right out of his shoes.
Yeah, that's probably what happened. I guess there's no other point for it.
I mean, unless he got into a fight with someone, he took off his shoes and started swinging his shoes at someone. I don't understand why that would be the case, but you know what? In this realm, I mean, anything can happen. I mean, yeah. I feel like we got to still like go full on detective on this, because I'm really curious as to what happened.
Yeah, me too. I guess what happened to him after he get out of the window? Where did he went? Who did he met? What did he do? Maybe without shoes, walking through the city, drunk. I don't know.
Honestly, who knows?
Who knows?
And you said that was in Germany, right?
Yeah, it was in Germany. I really don't remember where, but it was in Germany.
Why does every band I talk to, like half of them, their craziest stories come from Germany?
I really don't know. Maybe because there are a lot of people there that are crazy about the metal scene. Also in the Czech Republic, Slovakia, and East Country Europe, they really go nuts about metal music. Even in Russia. And maybe that's the cool thing about it. I guess if you come to Italy to a show, you don't notice this. We don't have this kind of crazy stories.
I'll say, well, I mean, I'm going to visit my friend in Bratislava, and it's going to be somewhere. If there's a show in Bratislava, Vienna, maybe even Prague, or I mean, somewhere. I mean, we're trying to go see a couple of shows just because it's going to be fun. And I really want to get in those mosh pits and just to get in the craziness of the crowd. And I mean, I'm assuming that at some point during one of the shows, I'm going to end up bleeding or get a black eye or something like that.
No,
and I
hope not, man.
I mean, I'll put it this way. It's happened before. And as long as it's something where I can still enjoy the show. And if I can't get back in the mosh pit, okay. As long as I can still stay there and enjoy the show, I am okay with that.
Okay, that's cool. You don't give up.
I don't give up, but also I'm not going to go and keep going if I'm afraid I'm going to start bleeding on everybody.
Okay, that's cool. That happened to a guy in Brno in Czech Republic that during a mosh pit when we played, someone broke his eyebrow.
Oh yeah.
And then after the show, we went off the stage, and he went to us like, "Hey, I broke my eyebrow moshing with you." And we were like, "Okay, but you're okay." Yeah, I kept doing it. I'm okay. Okay, no problem.
Okay. I mean, I've been to shows where people...
He was proud of it.
It is kind of like a little bit of a proud moment or a badge of honor as well. Because I mean, I always talk about the cut I got for after the burial in Motionless in White, and then when I was at Riot Fest in Chicago, because it's a big like punk rock festival. I forgot what band I was seeing, but all of a sudden people are crowd surfing. I'm trying to hold two people up at the same time. And then someone comes in as I'm holding two people up and the people behind me aren't going to catch. I'm like, oh, this is going to be bad. And I get the sole, like the bottom of their shoe right into the eye. I'm like, oh, this is going to suck. Had a big black eye. And I'm just like, now, you know what? Whatever. This is going to be fun. But I was not leaving that stage either, because after the band that happened to, the band that was going on next was Rise Against. I'm like, I'm not missing that.
No, you couldn't have.
Oh God, no. If I missed that, I'd have been I would not have been happy. But I'm really looking forward to seeing some of these European shows. And hopefully one of these European shows I get to see when I go over there is Elyne, because, I mean, no matter how many songs you play off of Art of Being Human, I mean, I'm just going to go crazy, except for maybe 2 a.m. because you can't really go crazy like that during 2 a.m. 2 a.m. is one of those songs where you just you sit back, you watch the performance, and you just get lost in the music.
Yeah. I think that we won't perform at 2 a.m. We saved it for our release party that had to take place here in 1 week, but I guess that won't happen. But no problem, we will reschedule it too. But yeah, it's not a tour song that you do in front of a crowd that it's not yours.
Yeah, it's a song you have to be more specific with. Where I mean, there are bands where they have those softer songs in comparison to their harder songs as well. But some of those softer songs, when they become really popular, you have to try and find a way to work it in there. Yeah. And I've seen bands make it work. I'll bring up Rise Against as an example, because Swing Life Away is that acoustic song. It doesn't really fit in with a lot of the rest of their set, but because everyone loves it so much and everyone connects with it, they have to play it. And when I saw them at Riot Fest, it was nice because it was really warm that day. It was very humid, so everyone was sweating. The crowd was very packed in. So, I mean, it was really hot in that crowd. People were passing out, and because security couldn't get to them, we literally would crowd surf them to the front so security could take care of the people that were passed out. But at a point where I thought I was going to pass out, all of a sudden with 3 songs left, they play Swing Life Away, and the whole crowd was just incredibly happy with it because we all got a little bit of a break.
Yeah.
And then they played two
awesome.
more.
That's awesome.
I'll say they played 2 more songs after that were just, perfect mosh pit songs. Yeah. Everyone was going just as hard as they did during the first song. Yeah, you recovered
the energy for the last 2 songs, so you could have gone nuts.
But what was even better about that too, just because of how crazy the mosh pit ended up getting, all of a sudden here comes Swing Life Away, and all these guys that are just hitting each other in the mosh pit, just bouncing off each other. Everyone's got their arms around somebody, or else all swinging back and forth singing this.
Yeah, so that's the cool stuff about music.
It goes from the most intense thing to something a lot more intimate, but it was perfect.
Awesome.
But bringing it back to 2 a.m. as well, just kind of in that if it's something that becomes really popular and you have to work in your shows, you can find a way to work it in there. But it does make sense that where, if you're playing a show and it's just the energy is incredibly high, people are going absolutely crazy. Like if you're doing a show in Germany or the Czech Republic, and all of a sudden maybe that song's on the set list, and if the crowd's going crazy, you might be like, you know what? Scratch it. We're not going to do it because it's just going to ruin the momentum of the show and just keep going. Makes sense.
I learned that if people don't know you, they want to go crazy. So you prefer to do a more heavy set list for them. So, metal stuff, you want to go crazy. And 2 a.m. is for the crowd that already knows you, that enjoys your music, that already know maybe the song. So it have been perfect for our set list at home here. So yeah, I guess that we won't perform 2 a.m. on the road.
And again, that makes total sense as well. But man, I just really hope that when I get to come over there, you guys have a scheduled show or a rescheduled show that I'm able to go see, because oh man, that would just be that would just make the trip. I mean, I'm already setting this trip up to be the best trip I ever take. And I mean, I just want to keep adding on to it. So I want to make it so unbeatable that I'm just constantly trying to make this even better as I go on through life. Just to kind of constantly try and be like, okay, this was awesome. Cool. Let's keep going up and up and up and up.
Oh yeah.
I would say,
I really hope that we will reschedule it on the same time that you're here.
All I know is it's going to be sometime in September, probably a little bit later in September. But then again, with this whole entire virus thing, all that's still up in the air right now. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, still don't know nothing about what will happen.
Oh, well, we just got to kick this virus's ass so we can get back to you guys playing music. We get back to every other artist playing music, and we get back to people just in their normal lives so that we can just rock out like the crazy people we are.
Yeah, we can train at home, headbang at home, so our neck can grow strong for the shows.
I'm really gonna need to do that, because after a couple of shows, like my neck will just get real stiff. Just I gotta take
when I'm on tour, the only mistake I do warming is that I don't warm up before the shows. So after the first show of the tour, I can't turn my neck like this, and I'm screaming, like I'm in pain a lot. So I really need to start warming up so I can start here at home to learn to warm up.
I just gotta stretch out the neck a little bit, just do those neck circles, and I gotta do those too, but I always forget because I get to the show, I'm like, okay, I should, oh man, I forgot to do them already. Time to do them. Okay, the opening act's coming on, and the mosh pit started, and I'm in the middle of it. Okay, we're not warming up, we gotta go and do this.
Yeah, that's what happens. I'm with my beer talking with people at merch, and Adam comes to us and it's like 10 minutes and you're on stage, and I was like, I need to hurry up.
It's like, okay, it's go time, go.
And I start spinning my neck.
I'll say, well, for when you get those rescheduled shows, just make sure that neck is warmed up so that, you can start, when you're headbanging during your first set, all of a sudden the next day you can do the exact same thing without any pain.
Yeah, that really sucks, because in our last tour, I was really, really hurt about my neck, and really sucked for, it usually lungs for like 3 days, and that it goes out, the pain goes out, but it kept, so for like 1 week I was really hurting, and it was not good, especially on tour, because on tour you want to stay healthy, you want to be good, and that time wasn't really about this.
Yeah, well, the fact of the matter is what happens if you don't warm up, and now you can work at it so that what to do to warm up, and then by the time you get to those live shows, you get through the tour, you're an expert at making sure that you're healthy.
Yeah. Even eating good on tour is fundamental. but sometimes it's hard. It's hard.
Oh yeah, because it's sometimes hard to get like the fresh fruit, the fresh vegetables, the good food
Yeah.
on tour when it's a lot easier to just get chips or something that's just not really.
Or you don't sleep enough. You have to drive a lot. You're tired, but that's okay. That's the cool thing about touring.
Say don't sleep enough. Now you're starting to talk. You're starting to talk more like me. I never sleep enough anyway.
No, I don't sleep enough either.
Hey, I guess if I ever do something where I go on tour with lack of sleep, hey, I'm already prepared for it.
Okay, that's a good point to start.
But then again, I don't know what I'd ever have to go on tour for at this moment.
Yeah, coronavirus tour.
Oh, yeah. I'll my coronavirus tour is my bedroom, my living room, my kitchen, my bathroom.
Oh yeah.
It's the 4-stop tour.
Double sold out at bathroom.
Oh, yeah, I can never get in. Oh man, I'll say, well, Bruno, we actually just passed the 2-hour mark on this, and I can't. Yeah, I'm taking a look at the time right now. I'm like, I can't believe we just did this for 2 hours.
Damn. No, I wasn't ready for it. I expected like it was here in Italy are 7:30.
Yeah, right now here it is 1:30.
Okay, I thought that we were like 1 hour and a half max, but 2 hours.
Yeah, I mean that's always what happens with these as well. It's if I'm talking with someone, getting that conversation, we just get flowing. I mean, we really went deep into art of being human. We talked about a lot of other things as well, but once we just get flowing, I mean, it's so hard to stop.
Yeah,
but it's just something where it's
you're
just,
right.
I mean, this was just fantastic. Just constantly the back and forth, talking about the music, hearing all these stories, just the flow, and just constantly talking about, also music theory as well and how it connects with people, along with some psychology as well, and really hearing your story. Man, it didn't feel like 2 hours, but I looked at him like, you got to be kidding me. We went 2 hours?
2 hours? That's crazy, man. Yeah, I enjoyed it a lot. Really a lot. I had a lot of fun.
I did as well. It was fantastic to have you on, Bruno. Unfortunately, it looked like Danny was never able to show up, but
I'm so sorry about it.
It's all right. We got the full-on Elyne Bruno experience.
Yeah.
Alrighty. So before we send you on your way, any last things you want to say to the Chord Progression podcast listeners and the My Song Day Rock 2000 Today fans?
Okay, so I would say that this podcast is really awesome. Really. He's a really funny and nice guy. You really need to listen to these bands that he take here, and that's really the point. Thank you so much.
Oh, wow. Thank you for those kind words, Bruno. And when it comes to Elyne, when it comes to any of their social media accounts, whether it's Facebook or Instagram and Twitter, anywhere you can find them on YouTube, where you can get some of their merch, where you can stream their album Art of Being Human and their previous 2 albums as well. Take a look at the links on the YouTube video or in the podcast description, because they're going to be there. And at some point, and I'm hoping at some point, because taking a look at my, when I set up the Song of the Day features, taking a look at it in April, we're definitely going to try and work to get Elyne as a Song of the Day feature, because I want to make sure people hear your music.
Thanks, man. Really. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for being on the podcast, Bruno. This was 2 hours. That definitely didn't feel like 2 hours.
Damn.
It felt like it was much shorter than that, but I got to say, that's how you know it's a great one, when this just flows like this. So, Bruno, thank you for being on. And when I come over to Europe, I sincerely hope that I'm able to see you guys play live, because that would be awesome.
That would be awesome, really. Can't wait.
Alrighty, awesome. Thank you, Bruno. Have a good night, and see you later.
See you.
Well, what did I tell you? 2 hours that didn't feel like 2 hours with Bruno from Elyne. My God, I'm still going to say this again. If you have not streamed their Art of Being Human album, please go and do that right now. It is absolutely fantastic. You heard all about it on this podcast. You're not going to want to, skip on this one. This is one of the best albums of the year at this moment. And I have a feeling it's going to be on that list somewhere at my end of the year rankings when we get to the end of it, because this was just fantastic. So that's going to be it for this episode of the Chord Progression Podcast. For all things Elyne, for their merch, for any information, all their social media stuff, look at the description of the podcast video or the podcast episode notes. It will all be there. And guys, this is one of my favorite ones. They're always my favorite when I get to interview these bands because I just have so much fun, and when I'm done, I mean, I am energized to all hell, as you can see right now and hear right now. Yeah. So that's going to be it for this episode. Thank you for listening. This is Kevin from the My Song Day Rock 2000 Today presents the Chord Progression Podcast. And you guys know how I end every single one of these episodes with a big hearty yeah.